口罩，戴手套，消毒，消毒，戴口罩。
This is Chi with Chinese Pod. Although here we are joking about the preventive measures we're taking towards preventing coronavirus, coronavirus itself is no joke.
戴手套，消毒，消毒，戴口罩。
We will hear more of this song that we actually sang later, but we just want to take this opportunity to talk to Chinese Pod's Michelle, who actually contracted COVID-19. We want to talk with Michelle through her journey of contracting and staying at home, resting, and her recovery process. And along the way, we'll introduce a number of COVID-19 related vocabs. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Chi. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. And, I did contract the coronavirus, and it would be very interesting to talk a little bit more about it, the good times, bad times, how I experienced symptoms, and talk about all these words and teach you some simple Mandarin words of how I went through and how I recovered and how I had to isolate myself for 20 plus days. And it'll be really interesting, and it'll be great if you guys join me on this journey with Chi.
And for those who are wondering, of course, we are not recording in the same room. We're recording through the internet.
No, yes. 100%. I'm recording in my room right now, still in isolation, waiting for one more test result to get back.
Remind us which virus you got again?
Yeah, so I basically tested positive for the coronavirus.
The coronavirus.
Yeah. 冠状病毒.
The 冠状病毒.
Yeah.
So the Chinese for coronavirus is 冠状病毒. So with 冠meaning the crown, 状 meaning the shape, and 病毒 is virus.
Crown-shaped virus.
Yes, crown-shaped virus. Here we go. Unfortunately so. And another term that we normally use to describe COVID-19 is 新冠肺炎, with 新 meaning novel, meaning new, right? And 冠 we've already talked about. And 肺炎, what is 肺炎, Michelle?
So 肺炎 means pneumonia.
Pneumonia. So actually 肺 means the lungs, and 炎 is an infection. So a lung infection, pneumonia. So it's
Right, like a respiratory. Because it's a respiratory disease, yeah.
Respiratory disease, yes, that's right. So again, it's 新冠肺炎.
新冠肺炎. A lot of people who actually first contracted the coronavirus, a lot of them thought that they were just getting a regular type of pneumonia.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe why they call it that.
So now you talked about pneumonia. Let's talk about the word for symptoms. So the word for symptom is 症状.
症状.
At the beginning of contracting the coronavirus, and I'm sure you felt that as well, it felt like a flu. And
it did.
The Chinese word for flu is 感冒.
I actually thought that, why we 我感冒了? I thought I had just a regular flu. So I went to get tested, and it was a regular flu at first. And then a week later, I went to test again because my roommate came back positive, and that's where I tested positive for it as well. I lost my sense of taste. 失去了味觉.
失去了味觉, loss of sense of taste.
Like in the middle of the night, I found myself really trying to grasp for air. So it was really difficult for me to breathe. But that was usually at night. But 有点呼吸困难.
So 呼吸 means to breathe. And 困难 means
difficulty.
Being difficult. Yeah, difficulty. Difficulty breathing. 呼吸困难.
And I had like some slight headaches, 头痛, and then 胸口痛. And I had chest pains as well. But then the chest pain only really came when I was lying down. When you see something that hurts you really bad and you get that like heart sunk feeling, it feels like that, but like 24/7 now.
So, Michelle, we just talked about 6 words about symptoms. Shall we quickly go through them again?
Sure. So the word symptom is
症状
症状. And my symptoms were 呼吸困难,
difficulty breathing,
胸口痛,
chest pain,
头痛,
headache,
失去味觉,
the loss of sense of taste.
and it feels like 感冒.
It feels like a flu.
Or less. I guess it depends. But I just got
it
lucky.
depends yeah.
And they also
Lucky for
say
you.
that like because it's like a respiratory disease, 新冠肺炎, they say that people who had like asthma before would have heavier symptoms. And I did have asthma like growing up, but I think it just went away. So my roommate, she has asthma and it was really bad for her.
And added to the complexion of the disease. Yeah.
Welcome back to another installment of Chinese Pod Trivia. And the question for you is, for what test does Chinese Pod offer preparation services for? Is it A, the polygraph, B, the colonoscopy, C, the HSK test, or D, the CAT scan?
The CAT scan?
Ooh, sorry, that is incorrect. The correct answer is C, the HSK test. That's right, Chinese Pod will thoroughly prepare you to pass this rigorous test of proficiency in Chinese. ChinesePod.com/HSK.
And when you say you got the 新冠肺炎, what word do we use?
Oh, yeah, 得了. So
Yeah, you could say you 得了新冠肺炎.
yes.
Right? So we say here, unfortunately, Michelle 得了新冠肺炎.
So I did contract the coronavirus, 得了. It's I got it.
Yeah.
And
Michelle could say 我得了.
yes, I can say 我得了新冠肺炎. So I told my family that, 我得了新冠肺炎. And obviously, there were a lot of concerns and they were, immediately like just asking a ton of questions, asking about my symptoms. And so, yeah, there was a lot of concerns. 忧虑.
A lot of yoli, a lot of worries, a lot of yoli, yeah.
I think not only like health-wise, like, we're all young, so it's easier for us to like get past it. The day I got the test, the night of, I already felt symptoms. So I was starting to get really depressed because I was like, I know my test is going to come back positive. I started like taking better care of myself, but then I had to like immediately go into isolation. 隔离, isolation.
Quarantine or isolation, 隔离.
So I would have to like 隔离 in my room and I would have a point person for just food. So one of my roommates who is negative would bring the food up to me, put it right outside my door, and then I'll wash it in my bathroom before wash the dishes before putting it out. So I was in complete isolation in my room for like 20 days at least.
Yeah, and we see a lot of these notices from the government, and sometimes they're in Chinese as well, and they say you have to stay at home. 待在家里.
待在家里 to stay put at home.
Stay put at home,
家里.
yeah. And they also use the term shelter in place, right? Or stay at home, yeah. You stay at home so you don't meet with other people, so you don't spread the virus.
To maintain social distancing.
And also to
保持
maintain social distancing.
Right.
And that would be?
保持社交距离.
Yeah,
保持 is to maintain.
to maintain.
社交 social. 距离
yeah.
distancing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of difficult because I know like a lot of people on social media, especially because there's really nothing much you can do at home, right? So a lot of people are online, they're on their phones, and everyone's just complaining about how bored they are at home. And I'm here like, shut up, like at least you're not sick. I remember my mom telling me that once they started this whole social distancing thing, that she was very, very particular about the, you know how they say it's 6 feet, 6尺, right?
Yeah.
And you have to stand 6 feet apart. And she was ordering food for her and my dad. And there's this guy that like came so close to her. She turned around and like yelled at him. And she was like, hey, 6 feet, okay? 6 feet. Yeah. And the guy was so shocked. But I think it's so hard for people to understand, like, because humans in general require that physical touch, or like, you know, sometimes we've forgotten what personal space is. So, I mean, you know, it's going to be so different after this, you know, after we find a vaccine. Like, there's so many more rules and enforcements that's going to be put in place.
Okay, so now we've talked about 5 more vocabs. So if we say we got the 新冠肺炎, we 得了新冠肺炎.
So you couldn't contract it. 得了 is to get, contract.
And of course, we feel worried. We feel very concerned.
忧虑.
忧虑.
Concerned.
And now we're all in 隔离.
Isolation.
And 我们待在家里.
You're staying at home, or staying put at home.
And even if we go out, we should 保持社交距离.
To maintain social distancing.
And we should 保持6尺 of distance.
6 feet, 6尺的距离.
Yeah, 6 is, of course, 6 and 尺 is feet. Okay, moving on. So, Michelle, we just actually talked about a lot of what we call 防疫措施, a lot of preventive measures, right?
Anti-epidemic measures.
Anti-epidemic measures.
Yeah, preventative measures. Oh, well, we disinfect anything that we get from the mail, anything that comes in from the outside, anything that I end up touching, or my roommate who also tested positive, anything that she touched, we have to, like, you know, even if it's just opening a door, we have to clean the doorknob.
So you 消毒, right?
Disinfect. 消毒.
Disinfect. Yeah, 消 is to
get rid of.
Get rid of, yeah. And 毒 is, of course, as from 病毒, is the virus, is the germs, is the poisonous stuff. So 消毒 is to disinfect.
So yeah, and then we have to practice, like, you know, personal hygiene and stuff. And when this whole thing started, before I even tested positive for the coronavirus, I remember like having to wash my hands all the time.
洗手, washing your hands.
Because, you know, they kept saying, wash your hands, wash your hands. And I didn't realize that maybe I haven't been washing my hands that often, because when I started getting like cuts on my hands for washing my hands too often.
Wow.
So I don't know what it is.
To an OCD level.
Yeah, maybe we just, you know, it's just so natural in our lives anymore that, like, you know, I just want to put my hands on my face, scratch my eyes.
Yeah.
And now we're just all paranoid about it. So, but, you know, personal hygiene is very important. 个人卫生.
You just mentioned 个人卫生. So 个人 is personal, and 卫生 is hygiene. Yeah, so we also need to, of course, we mentioned that word as well, 保持, to maintain, right? So we could 保持个人卫生. We maintain our personal hygiene.
Yeah, and
what could we do?
I mean, the regular stuff would be to wear a mask, wear gloves.
Wear a mask and gloves.
Yep.
Right.
戴口罩.
戴口罩, yeah.
And 手套. Sorry.
手套, 口罩 and 手套, it rhymes. 戴口罩, 戴手套. We can make a cheesy song out of this.
You could, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, let's just do that. Let's just record you saying those words, and I'll make a cheesy song out of this. So let's go through all these words.
Okay.
Just say it and then say the English translation, and then I'll remix it, and then I'll make a
Can
beat
you
out
do
of
that?
this. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
this is interesting. I actually would.
Yeah, just say it.
Okay.
Just say it for me. So 防疫措施, and then, you know, preventive measures.
So you want me to go like personal?
No. I'll do that. I'll do the remix.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
戴 口罩，戴手套，消毒，消毒，戴口罩，戴手套，消毒，消毒，戴口罩，戴手套，消毒，消毒，戴口罩，戴手套，消毒，消毒，戴口罩，戴手套，消毒，消毒。个人卫生 （personal hygiene） 防疫措施 （preventative measures）。个人卫生 （personal hygiene） 防疫措施 （preventative measures）。个人卫生
个人卫生
防疫措施。
防疫措施，
戴口罩，
戴口罩，
戴手套，
戴手套，
消毒。
消毒。Wow, that's amazing. So fun.
How do you do that, Chi? You need.
Yeah, I'm a very musical person.
You're very talented.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what Chi's been doing this entire quarantine. He's just been
Of course,
remixing
yeah.
songs.
I'm built for. I'm built for self-isolation. Yeah. So we have 5 more words.
Sure.
And that's very closely related to your experience as well. The first one is to get tested. The second and the third one is to have a positive test result and to have a negative test result. Let's go through the first word first, and it's called 检查结果.
So 检查 is the test, and
Yeah.
结果 is result. And I remember telling you that like I tested negative first, 呈阴性, and then after that I tested positive, 呈阳性.
Yeah, so if we actually look at the word here, yin and yang, right? So it's basically yin yang.
Yeah.
The even if we don't know Chinese at all, we must have heard of yin yang.
The yin and yang
sign,
is what they say.
The yin and the yang.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what it is actually. So yin is negative and yang is positive. So yin actually means to be in the shade and yang to be in the light. You know, so it's kind of like if we are positive, we are under the sun. If we are
Negative.
yin negative, if we're yin, if we're negative, we're under the shadow. And we can actually see that in the Chinese word. You could see the word for sun. We can see the word 日. Next to the 偏旁, we see the radical. Actually, we call that the radical. We see the word for sun, 日. And together, the word is yang. And if we see the word 月, which actually means moon, then it is negative. It is under the shadow. So it's very, very interesting. Of course, the word for 呈 is to present. So 呈阳性 is to present a positive character, 呈阳性. So basically, the result is positive in here. And on the contrary, 呈阴性 means to have a negative result.
I have a cheat way of remembering yin and yang because it gets really, for some newbies, it can get kind of confusing. So people always say yin and yang. So I go minus plus, minus plus. I remember which is negative and positive. Minus plus, minus plus.
Minus plus, minus
Yang,
plus.
yin,
Yeah.
yang. So that's how I remember. Growing up, that's how I remembered my yin and yangs.
口罩，戴手套，消毒。
When I started to get symptoms, I was really trying very hard not to take any medication at all. So
Right.
I just really didn't want to do it because I was trying to force my body to build the antibodies quick enough so I can get rid of it. But I did end up taking a little bit of acetaminophen, which is what we call the Tylenol. I think Tylenol. Yes.
Yeah. Tylenol,
Yeah, Tylenol. Because they did say that taking ibuprofen would inflame the virus, even more it would make it worse. There were some studies on that. So I did, take some medication, 吃药, but just a little bit. It wasn't anything that
Yeah. So 吃药. So 吃 is actually to eat. So to eat your medicine. Yeah.
Yep.
It's very very literal. Yeah, we don't say take it. We just eat it.
Eat medicine.
Eat medicine. So
And I did rest a lot. I slept like maybe 11 to 12 hours. You know, just
Per day.
force my body to like build those antibodies already, because I think the scariest part of it all was waking up and not like trying to breathe.
yeah,
Kind of like waking up from a nightmare and you're like,
yeah.
and you're like, so that was kind of how it was.
呼吸困难,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did rest a lot, 休息, and I got better.
So again, yeah, for to rest is 休息.
So when I got into isolation, actually, we actually had to practice further, like 个人卫生. So when I had food brought to my room by the door, I'm lucky because I have an ensuite. I have a bathroom in my bedroom, so I would wash every single dish that I use and then put it back outside. But then when my roommate collects it, she has to bring it down and wash it again, even though it's clean. So it was like extra
extra 个人卫生
and 防疫措施, right?
Yeah. It's interesting how we're not even just teaching it anymore. We're even putting all these 待在家里 to practice. We're staying at home. We're working at home. We are 休息. We're trying to take rest and all that. Yeah.
Still, I think the most important thing is to like keep positive, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was like the whole time I felt myself getting like worse. I just keep going, mind over matter, mind over matter, mind over matter. And then I'll be better the next day a little bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, to sum it all up, my take home from this entire experience, I keep stressing that the experience that I went through with the coronavirus is definitely not the worst, but it was also not the best. And I think, like, summarizing it all, I actually felt bad that I was putting more, like, worry into like my family, because they would call me every like 4 hours just to make sure I was alive, because they didn't know how dangerous or how life-threatening it could be on me, because it's all like a case-to-case basis. We hear people needing respiratory devices and some people being asymptomatic, so it's like a huge spectrum. And I felt like I was putting a lot of stress on my family as well. And maybe had I taken better preventative measures, then I would not have contracted it. I mean, it was unlucky because my roommate had it. But at the same time, it's a big lesson to learn for a lot of people. And I know some people are not taking it seriously. They're like, oh, what can happen? I mean, a lot, I think, can happen. So I want to say that I'm lucky and very thankful, but I'm happy that I can share this story with everyone.
So I think the best word to end this podcast would be to just say 加油. Maybe a lot of people would also know this word already. 加油, to add oil, and that means to
keep it up. All the best.
All the best. We just want to wish Michelle and also everybody else who is affected by the COVID-19 situation a big 加油.
加油, 加油. Thank you so much for having me, Chi. Thank you everyone for listening in.
Hey, Tom.
Oh, Tammy, how's it going?
Ni hao, ni hao. How's your Chinese coming along?
Well, I gave up.
真的吗? Chinese pod no longer?
Well, really, I was so busy, I didn't have the time.
Not the time? You don't have 90 seconds per day?
90 seconds?
Yes, 90 seconds. So you did not try Chinese Pod Recap? This app, you can insert your learning experience whenever you have even just a little window of time.
90 seconds are enough to go through bite-sized pieces and recap your lessons in Chinese Pod Recap, the app for busy learners that want to use little breaks to refresh what they learned. Chinese Pod Recap synchronizes to your phone so you have what's relevant for you available, even if you have no internet connectivity. Like on planes or in the deepest tunnels of the New York subway.
消毒消毒
Let's quickly go through the 25 vocabs that we mentioned in this podcast. The first one is 冠状病毒. 冠 meaning crown, shaped, 状 病毒 virus, 冠状病毒 crown-shaped virus, coronavirus. The second one is 新冠肺炎 新 new, novel, 冠 crown, 肺炎 pneumonia, new, crown-shaped pneumonia, COVID-19. And then 症状 symptoms. 呼吸困难 difficulty breathing. 胸口 is chest, 痛 is pain. Chest pain. We'll see for the next one, it's the same. There is the word 痛 头痛 head pain, headache. 失去味觉 the loss of 味 taste, 觉 sense of. 失去味觉 loss of sense of taste. And then it's 感冒 flu. 忧虑 means worry. 隔离 means quarantine, isolation. 待在家里 staying at home. And then 保持社交距离 with 保持 meaning maintain, 社交 social, 距离 distance. 保持社交距离 maintain social distance. Maintain 6尺 6 feet of social distance. 6尺的距离 6 feet of distance. These are all 防疫措施 preventative measures against the epidemic. 防疫措施 What we can also do is 保持个人卫生 to maintain personal hygiene, and that would include 消毒 disinfect, 戴 to wear what? 戴口罩 wear a mask, 戴手套 wear gloves, and then also we wash our hands. 洗手 检查结果 means test result, with 检查 meaning test and 结果 meaning result. 检查结果 test positive is 呈阳性 and test negative is 呈阴性. We take medicine 吃药 literally meaning eat medicine. And we also rest 休息. Finally 加油 Finally 加油 means come on, keep going, carry on. We can do it. 加油